Hey guys, in today's video, you will learn how to build an admin panel for your MERN Stack project. This is our admin dashboard page, and this page provides a comprehensive overview of the e-commerce platform's performance with real-time data visualization. On the top, we have got the 4 main performance indicators. So this 4 means we have got 4 users registered in our e-commerce application. These numbers are dynamically fetched. Total orders card displays 5 orders placed, providing a quick snapshot of sales activity and transaction volume on the platform. These orders are increased after the user purchases the products from the cart. We also have got the total revenue card, which displays the total amount of payment done for the purchases. Finally, the total product card displays the products present in our store. Below here, the top products by sales section features a bar chart showing purchase data across different products. On hover, you can see the product name and the purchase count. And this is our recent order section, which displays the top 5 recent orders made by the user. Finally, top purchase products section lists the most popular items. So this is our dashboard, which is also responsive for small screen and mobile view too. Moving on the sidebar, we have other sections like users, products and orders. So if we expand this user, we have the option for list and creating user. So the list users part displays all the user present. This eye icon simply helps to view the user detail. We can also update the user details, and this delete icon simply deletes the user. This create user part helps to create the new user. We can also create admin from here. So you can see we have the user Sarah created, and now in the list view we can see the newly created user Sarah. Then in the product sections we can see all the products present in our store. Similarly, we can update or modify the products data also. And if we delete this, you can see on our dashboard page, now the products count is 19. This add products helps to add the new product. So let me add the backpack again. You can add any new product here. This would be of men's clothing, and here we are providing image URL since we had been using fake store API for product collection, so we can get the image directly by using the URL. Instead of this, you can also use file or image upload system, which is more standard and effective. So now you can see we have added this. Now the product count is back to 20. And finally, we have the order section, which displays the order details made by the user. So you can see currently we have the order of John Doe and Harry Jackson. So let me log out and logged in as user Sarah. Now we can add the products to cart that we are willing to buy. So let me buy these multiple products, and we can then proceed to payment here. So I will just quickly fill this, and this is our Stripe test card. Now you can see we have the payment success message. Now I will again log in as admin. And on the dashboard page, recent orders has the latest data of Sarah. The total orders and revenue value is also increased. And in our orders page also, we have the recent orders for Sarah. So that was the quick overview of our admin panel in e-commerce application. I have built it as a part of our e-commerce app, but you can easily adopt it to any of your MERN Stack projects. If you are interested, check out my full playlist on building an e-commerce app from scratch. I have also provided the link of that playlist in the description below. Now let's continue from our build e-commerce project. So this is our e-commerce project containing the client and server folder. Now we will first begin with admin login. For that, we can proceed to server folder. Inside this, you can see model. It contains our user schema. We can just add the role field here, which should be of type string, and we will then include the enum for user and admin. If no role is explicitly assigned when the user is created, it will automatically default to user. Based on this role, we will able to differentiate admin from user. Now in our auth controller, you can see we have the functionality for sign up and login. So in the response of this sign up, let's add role user, and we will do the same thing in login part response also. Here user.role is fetched from the database based on the schema defined role for that user. We will require this for comparing the role in client after fetching this API and redirecting them based on their role. Now let's declare our admin in database first. Let's go to MongoDB Atlas, and on our e-commerce collection, we can view the users. I will just erase these users since now we have added the user role field. Here we can click on insert document. So let's provide our username. We can provide username to admin25, and I will also provide my admin email. And for the password, we need to store the hashed password. So let's first generate the hashed password. Let me create a script file hashpassword.js to generate hash password. Let's import bcrypt. Then we can name the function to hash password. We will fetch the admin password from .env. So in .env in admin password, I'm gonna include the password for admin. You can provide any password for your admin. Now we can generate hash password using bcrypt.hash, and we can provide salt rounds to 10. We will then console it since we just need hash for our provided admin password. Let me complete catch block also. Now we can finally call the hash password. Then simply run node hashpassword.js inside the server. You can see we are getting error. It's stating undefined. It's because we haven't configured our .env here. So let me config .env at the top. Now let's again run this file. And in the console you can see we have the admin password in hash form. We can copy this, and back in our Atlas, let's paste in the password field. and finally the role would be admin. So now we have got the user with admin access. Before proceeding on middleware check for admin, we will sign up for user. Let's run our project for that. This would be our client, and on the next terminal, we will navigate to server. Now let's run our client and server project. This is our sign up page for user. Let's create new account for user Steve. And we have sign up success message. And if we refresh our atlas, you can see we have the newly created Steve data and its role is user since we had set default to user. So we can log in for this user Steve now. This is the product section where we can add cart and view our cart. Now we can log out and let's log in for our admin. So currently if we log in for our admin, we're still redirected as user. In order to redirect admin to separate section, we need to create middleware to check admin role. In our auth middleware, we already have middleware for checking the user authentication. Now we can add to verify admin. As request.user is already set by require auth, we can find the user with request.user.id. Let's import our user schema first. Then let's find our user. In case of user role not equals to admin, we will simply deny access. After that, we can simply call the next middleware. Then simply include the error in catch block. Finally, let's export it. Inside our controllers, let's create folder admin controller. It would contain dashboard.js. For now, I will simply return welcome to dashboard message for admin. Then export this function. Now inside the routes folder, let's create admin routes.js. Let me first import Express. Then we will also import dashboard from admin controller. This line helps to create a new router object. This would be our GET request with route endpoint to dashboard. Finally, let's call our admin route in index.js. Here actually it should be routes. We missed you. First, let's import our admin routes and also the isAdmin middleware. We can assign its path to /admin. Then we need to call require auth middleware. After that, the next middleware isAdmin should also be included. Finally, include admin router. So when redirecting to dashboard, first require auth middleware checks for authentication and isAdmin checks if the role of that user is admin or not. And if the admin login is confirmed, the user can access the dashboard page. And the route for it will be /admin/dashboard. Let's proceed on frontend, which is the client folder. Inside the src, we have the pages folder, and in auth, we have created frontend for sign up and sign in. So let's proceed on signin.jsx. Let me create state for admin login. Move to the API call part. And below this response part, we can check for admin role from user response. So if the role is admin, here include set admin login to true. We can remove navigate part now. And inside this use effect, add state check for admin login also. If role is admin, we will simply navigate to admin dashboard page, or else we will go to user home page as before. Finally, include admin login in dependency array. So let's create dashboard.jsx inside admin folder. Let's first import necessary hooks. This would be our admin dashboard function. Let's create use state for message since we are just trying to display welcome message. Then inside the use effect, we will be calling our backend API. Since we are using bit, we should use import.meta.env and also include the dashboard route. We are including with credentials to true here since we should also allow cookie to be passed. Then update the message to set message. Let's also include the catch block. Then call the fetch dashboard function. So inside the return part, we will just show the fetched message. Here we forgot to import Axios, so let's import it. And it also should be with backend URL since we have defined backend port using bit prefix. Now in our app.jsx, let's define this route. This should be /admin/dashboard. An element will simply hold the admin dashboard component. Now let's verify whether we are able to authenticate as admin or not. Make sure your project is running. Let me provide my admin credentials. Then on login, you can see we are able to get the message from our admin controller with our email details. So we have completed our admin login, role-based access control and protected routes for admin. Now we can create our dashboard overview. So we will modify this admin dashboard page. From MUI material, let's import card, card content, typography and grid. These help us design a clean and responsive layout. And you can see we are getting deprecated message for grid. We can solve this by using latest material UI. So in client terminal, we will install MUI material for latest version. So now it's fine. We will also modify this backend part later. So we can simply comment this API call part. For now, let's complete the static design for dashboard. Let's remove this inside the return part. Here typography displays the title admin dashboard in large text. We use a grid container to lay out 4 statistics cards in a responsive row. Here the container prop transforms the grid component into a flex container that can hold grid items. When align items is set to stressed, it instructs the grid items to expand along the cross axis to fill the available space within the grid container. Then let's also provide margin style for it. Let's create a reusable component stat card that takes in title, value and description as props. Each stat is placed inside a grid item that adapts to screen size. The card and card content from Material UI give each stat a card style look. Then we use typography to display the stat title, the actual value and description. This structure keeps the code modular, clean and responsive. Now let's pass the title, value and description to this component. For now, I will pass the hard-coded values. The first card shows our total users. I am passing in the title total users the value of 20 and a description that says registered customers. This gives a quick view of how many customers have signed up. The second card displays total orders with a value of 10 and the description orders placed. This lets us track our sales activity at a glance. For the third card, I am showing total revenue with a value of $220 and the description gross revenue. Finally, our fourth card shows total products with a value of 50 and the description active listings. This helps us monitor our inventory status. Now if we log in back again for admin, you can see we have the cards displayed here, each showing a summary of key details like total users, orders, revenue, products, and a short description of each. Now that we have our statistic card set up, let's move on to displaying more detailed information below. We will also first move this card to little right side. For that, let's provide max width to 1300 px, and this margin value helps to automatically distribute the remaining horizontal space equally on both sides of the element. Now we can see we have it with proper spacing between left and right side. Now below it we will create table for recent orders part. We use another grid container here to create a two-column layout for our main dashboard content. Let's provide the style of margin and padding. Here access is equals to 12 means that on extra small screens like mobile phones, this grid item will take up all 12 columns. Then we display a recent orders table inside a paper component. The paper gives it a nice elevated card-like appearance with some padding for spacing. Here the value 3 elevation determines the intensity of the shadow, making it appear slightly raised above the background. Then let's provide some styling. For the recent order, we can include variant H6. And here gutter bottom adds a bottom margin to the typography element. We can then use Material UI's SX Probe for responsive font size. Then let's define our table. Inside the table, we use Material UI's table components, table head, table row, table cell, and table body to create a structured, easy to read list of recent orders. So inside this table cell, we will include heading field. For now, we are showing static sample data with user emails, amounts, and date. Now for these field values, let's include table body. And I will first copy these all. Now we can replace this with our static values. So the email can be john@gmail.com. Let me give 100 as amount and also the random date. We will again add another row of different value. This table helps admin quickly scan recent activities and get a sense of ongoing sales. Our auto import didn't include paper, table and table cell from Material UI. Let's import manually. So if we go back to our project, we can see on the left side we have the recent order section. Now to make our dashboard even more visual and insightful, let's add a bar graph to the left side of this section to showcase our sales trends. Let's create a simple array called data defined in our component. For this demonstration, it's static data. Each object in this array represents a month and its corresponding sales figure. For example, Jan with the sales of 400, February with 300, and so on. Later, we would fetch this dynamically from our backend. For our chart, we will be npm installing xcharts from Material UI. We are getting npm error. It's because of the conflict between the Material UI packages, that is the version of our Material UI and Material UI icons. So let's update our Material UI to 7. Now install Xcharts. Then we can now input our bar chart. Above the recent order, we can include the bar chart component. First, we will provide grid for it. For the paper part, I can just copy from here. Let me modify some style for it. I will also add background and box shadow for it. This can be set to variant at 6. The x-axis prop configures our horizontal axis. Data key month tells the chart to use the month property from each object in our data array for the labels on the x-axis. And label month gives a descriptive title to the axis. The series prop defines the actual data to be plotted, in our case the bars. This also takes an array of objects where each object represents a set of data series. We have one series here. Data key cells means it will use the cells figures from our data label. Cells will be used in tooltips or legends to identify this data, and this color sets the color of our bars to our material UI blue. The dataset is equals to data prop is crucial. This is where we pass our actual data array that we defined earlier. Finally, height 350 controls the vertical size of our chart. So we also have the bar chart now. On the right side, let's include top purchased products list. The grid property will be same as bar chart. Again, we wrap it in a paper component for consistent styling. Let's provide proper styling for it too. This would be our top purchased products. Here we use material UI's list and list item components to display a simple vertical list of best selling products. Each list item shows the product name and how many times it's been purchased. Actually, this should be MD value 6 for recent orders. Now let's view in our project, and you can see we have the graph of sales for 4 months and also the top purchased products list. On hover, we can get the month details and sales data. We will also add some CSS with proper background color and more styles for it. Before that, we will first proceed on making dynamic. Inside our admin controller, let's modify this dashboard controller. This would be our async operation now. let's import our user from schema. We will first count all users in database. We can get the count using count documents. Now for products, we need to first import our product from the model. We will fetch out the products from DB. So the user.find finds all users from our database. The second parameter purchases username email is a projection that specifies which field to include in the results. This tells MongoDB to only return these three fields from each user document, that is purchases, username and email. These variables will be our counters and containers that we will fill up as we process each purchase. Now we loop through every user and every purchase they have made. For each purchase, we do four things. Count it as an order, add its value to our total revenue, save it for our recent orders list, and track which products are being purchased most. This part is simply creating a count of purchases for each product. If we have a product with the title jacket, then the first time we encounter jacket in product purchase count, its value is undefined. The code product purchase count jacket or 0 treats this as 0. We then add the quantity from the current purchase to this 0 and store it back in product purchase count jacket. If we encounter jacket again from another user or another purchase, product purchase count will already have a value, the sum so far. The code will add the new quantity to the existing total for jacket. This way we keep a running total of how many times jacket has been purchased across all users and all purchases. For our dashboard, we want to show the 5 most recent orders. So we sort all orders by date and take the top 5. Here slice 05 creates a new array that contains only the elements from index 0 up to 4. Now for the top products, let's first convert the product purchase count object into an array of key value pairs. Now we will sort the array in descending order based on the count, that is the second item in each pair. Then take only the first 5 elements of the sorted array. Finally, we will convert each array pair like jacket tuple into an object. Finally, let's send it to the frontend. Let me complete this catch block also. Back in our frontend, let's fetch the dynamic data. First, we initialize 3 pieces of state using React's useState hook. Loading to track if the data is being fetched. Stats to hold the dashboard data once fetched. And error to store any error messages if the fetch fails. Let's uncomment this API call part now. Next, inside a use effect on success, we can simply save the data in stats and turn off loading. And on failure, this part catches the error. Sets an error message and stops loading. Finally, we handle what the user sees based on the state. If loading is true, send a friendly UI loading message. If there is an error, display it prominently in red. If no data, that is stats is null, show no data available message. Otherwise, render the dashboard with the face data. And now we can console the response here. If we inspect this, you can see we have got all the backend response. Now we just need to pass these in our static part. The dynamic value for users will be stats.total_users. Let me change for order, revenue and total products too. For the bar chart value, we have the response of product title and count inside top products. We then use .map on top products. The chart data variable will then hold a new array. Each item in this new array will effectively contain our original product title and its corresponding purchase count. Let's provide this chart data value in the data of bar chart. We will then map our recent orders with the key value index. And we only require to pass dynamic content in one row, so I can remove this one static table row. This end should wrap our table row. And this should be our key index. Here we take the email property from the current order object and display it. Similarly, we can also fetch the amount and purchase time. If the length is 0, we can simply show message of no recent orders. Before proceeding to the top product section, we need to slightly modify our grid uses because the item prop is deprecated as of MUI version 7. Instead, we should use the size prop to specify the grid item size. For MD, let's make this bar chart to 4. We will equally divide to 4 columns for other component also. Now we don't need this padding. Let's modify for recent orders grid also. I will just copy as of bar chart and we will give this to 4 for MD. Then for top purchase product also. Now we can remove its max width. Finally we can change for stat card. So for this it would be 3. We can now remove this SX prop also. Let's continue on making our top products part dynamic too. Let's remove this one static list item prop. Then we can map this. Also include key index. Product.title will simply hold the title of the product. And let's also fetch the count for the secondary part here. And we will also provide UI message for no purchases. And here in chart data, we will also perform null check since currently we don't have any purchase products for the graph. And let's also make a slight changes here for this grid. Just change this trace to center. Remove this margin left now since our grid will work perfectly as we have included new version by modifying to size. We previously wrapped the entire container with the grid used for the stat cards. Now we are going to separate the stat cards into their own grid container. So I will close the grid after the stat card section and remove the extra closing grid tag from below. Now let's proceed back on our project. You can see the cards are properly aligned now and we have the total users value to 2 and total products of 20. But for other sections, we don't have any data. So I will show you the data by purchasing some products. Let me log out first. I will sign up for user John. Let me sign up for Harry too. Now if I log in as admin, you can see we have 4 users. Let's purchase from John. So I will just add some product to cart first. And let's proceed to payment for these products. I can use Stripe test card number. So let's fill this quick and we have the payment success message. We also have the purchase product in the purchase page. So let me purchase from Harry too. Now going back on our dashboard, I guess we got some issue. If we inspect this, we are getting null for births are dead. Let's go through code. So yeah, we haven't replaced our dynamic data from chart data. Actually, this should be products. And instead of sales, it should be purchases. Now if we again go to dashboard, we have the data being collected for total orders and total revenue. In our graph, you can see these are the graph for purchased products and the vertical line represents the quantity. And for the recent order, you can see the order detail of Harry and John. It will hold up to 5 recent data. And finally, we have the top purchased product which we have orange based on number of purchase times. And in this bar chart below, you can also see this name. We can remove this from here. For that, in x-axis, we can simply provide tick label style and it's displayed to none. You can see it's being removed now. Next, we improve the styling. Let's provide background styling. We will set the background property to linear gradient. And this property proceeds at a 135-degree angle, which will bend from a soft light gray at the start to a light bluish gray at the end, creating a really professional and clean backdrop for our content. You can see we have the light blue color at the background now. In this recent order mapping part, in the table cell, let's add some style for SX. Word break all allows words to be broken at the arbitrary points to prevent overflow, even if it breaks words in the middle. This helps long strings like emails fit within the cell without causing layout issues. Whitespace normal collapses sequences of whitespace and lines break as necessary to fill the container. This is the default text wrapping behavior in most browsers. Finally, let's provide max width to 140. Let's modify font size of medium devices to hold 0.89. We will provide same value for the amount also. For the date we can use 0.87. And for the stats also We will be providing the styles. So this part adds a bold vertical blue stripe on the left side of the card. We can set a clean white background for the card. Then let's include the box shadow and border radius. For our value also, let's provide blue color and the font weight. Now you can see we have a good CSS for the dashboard. And you can see it's also responsive. In mobile view also there is nothing wrong with the responsiveness, but when I try to swipe to the right, we see all this empty white space. This is a classic horizontal overflow problem where an element on the page is wider than the screen, breaking our layout. To fix this, let's open our index.css file. Inside the HTML body selector, we will first set the margin and padding to 0. Then we will add the key property overflow x hidden. This simple line prevents any horizontal scrolling on the page, cleaning up our layout instantly. Now in mobile you can see it's fixed. For our admin we don't need this home cart and purchases page, so we will disable for admin role. So inside our auth context, let's create the state for our user role. And we will also pass this to our provider value. Then we need to go back in this check auth API. We can find this inside auth controller. Currently it's only returning authentication check. So now we will also fetch the user role from it. For that we can fetch the user ID from this. So let's find the user in the database from the ID returned from this decoded response, that is decoded.id. In case of no user, we can provide user not found message. Then let's include role in the response. Now we will modify our API call part in our auth context. We will perform the rule check after this authenticated state part. So in this if block, let's first check if the user role is present. Then we will pass the role value to the user role state. Then inside the catch block also, let's clear role on error. And we had fetched the user role after signing. So back in our signin.jsx, let's also import our set user role from auth context. After the authentication here, we will also include the user role from the response in our set user role. Now this state will either hold the user value or the admin. Now finally in our navbar, fetch the user role from auth context. With this user role, we can customize which navigation links are visible. We will check for the role from the home link all the way through to logout to ensure only regular users see them, not admins. We will be using logout in our sidebar for admin. So you can see there are no other user fields now. The sidebar will include all other section and admin needs like product management, order viewing, and user administration. For admin, let me create sidebar.jsx inside the admin folder. So this will be our admin sidebar function. Then fetch the logout user from our auth context. We will be using logout for admin in the sidebar, so we can create handle logout functionality. Let's import navigate, and we will be navigating to home on logout. First, let's proceed on creating drawer header. It is the top section of our sidebar. We can import box from material UI. Then let's include style inside the SX prop. After that, we can display the text admin panel using Material UI typography with the H6 style. Let's import use theme. This theme contains things like colors, spacing, and importantly, here breakpoints for responsive design. Use media query is another React hook from MUI. It lets you check if a CSS media query matches the current screen size. So this returns a media query string that matches screen width greater than or equal to the medium breakpoint. In MUI's default theme, MD is 960px. Icon button is simply a clickable button that shows an icon. When clicked, it closes the sidebar by setting sidebar open to false. We are gonna declare this state also. Then let's include close icon. We pass sidebar open, set sidebar open, and children as props to admin sidebar so that the parent component can fully control when the sidebar is open or closed. This pattern makes our sidebar more reusable and easier to manage since all state changes happen at the top level. Additionally, by accepting children, we can easily render any main content alongside the sidebar, keeping our layout flexible and maintainable. Then let's proceed on our drawer. Just call the drawer header now. Divider adds a horizontal line to visually separate the header from the navigation items. This dashboard route will be redirection to /admin/dashboard. This SX prop customizes the style of the navigation button so that when it's the active route, it gets a gray background. This helps users see which page they are currently viewing. Finally, we will show the dashboard icon and display the text dashboard. Next, we have the user section, which is collapsible. When clicked, it calls handle users click to open or close the nested list. We will create this function. Let's provide state for user open. This function toggles the open or closed state of the user section in our sidebar. It displays a people icon followed by the text users. So I guess we missed to import dashboard also for dashboard icon. So let's also import people icon. On the right side, it shows either an expand list icon if the section is open or an expand more icon if closed, giving a clear visual cue. When users open is true, the nested collapse component expands to reveal two sub items. The first is list users. We will be navigating it to /admin/users. Let's also import list icon from material UI icons. And let me copy this, and this would be for creating user. So the route would be /admin/users/create. Now this will be person add icon, and this would be create user. Let's import these two. Next we have the product section, which is also collapsible, just like the user section. I will just copy of the user. And now we can modify this. Now on click will be handle products click. Let's declare state for products open. Then implement handle products click function. Instead of people icon, we will use shopping bag icon. We need to also import this. Here inside the primary, it should be products, and this should be products open. The route for products list can be /admin/products. The next would be products adding page. So change the route to /admin/products/add. This can be simple add icon. Import this also. Now let's proceed to orders. The path would be /admin/orders. The SX probe value will be the same as of other above component. We will be using receipt long icon. So let's import this. We also missed to import expand less and expand more. Let's import that too. Finally, let's include our logout. Remove this. We should include on-click functionality. We can call handle logout. The icon would be logout icon. Then let's provide text logout. Here orders should also have orders text. And import the logout icon. So yeah, that's for the drawer. And here we missed to import some component. Let's import missing components like list and others. Now let's proceed to the return part of our admin sidebar component. This section is responsible for rendering the sidebar alongside the main content area. We wrap everything inside a box. Next, we use the Material UI drawer component to display the sidebar. This part controls whether the drawer is shown or hidden based on the sidebar open prop. Inside the SX prop, we will be using drawer width. So outside the function, we can initialize drawer width to 240. Finally, the drawer renders the JSX structure we defined earlier for the sidebar's content. After the drawer, we render the main component area. Component main semantically marks this as the main content region. FlexGrow1 makes this area expand to fill the available space. P3 adds padding around the content. This part adds a left margin equals to the drawer's width when the sidebar is open, so the content doesn't hide behind the sidebar. If the sidebar is closed, the margin is removed. Transition margin 0.3s smoothly animates the margin when the sidebar opens or closes. Children renders whatever content is passed into the admin sidebar at children. So that's all for our sidebar. We will be including this in dashboard. So let's proceed on our app.jsx. We will create a piece of state called sidebar open, which determines when our sidebar is open or closed. By default, it's set to true. So the sidebar will be open when the app first loads idle for our desktop layouts where the sidebar is usually visible. The set sidebar open function allows us to open or close the sidebar from anywhere in our app, such as when clicking the hamburger menu or the close button. In this navbar also, let's pass sidebar open and set sidebar open as props. Now we should also modify this navbar.jsx page because we want the navigation bar to be able to control the sidebar specifically to display a hamburger menu on admin routes when the sidebar is closed. Now we will check whether the current path begins with /admin. The drawer width will be 240. Now we are going to style this nav part according to it. When we are on admin route and the sidebar is open, margin left is set to the drawer width. This shifts the navbar to the right, making space for the sidebar so the navbar does not overlap with it. When we are not on an admin route or the sidebar is closed, margin left is set to 0. This icon button is styled and configured for accessibility and proper alignment. This edge start aligns the icon button to the start of its container, which is a common placement for navigation icons like the hamburger icon. This makes the icon button inherit its color from its parent element. This provides an accessible level for screen readers. If the sidebar is open, the label is closed sidebar. If the sidebar is closed, the label is open sidebar. Then we can toggle the sidebars open or close state by setting sidebar open to its opposite value. This color sets the icon color to white. MR1 adds a small right margin. ML1 adds a small left margin. Menu icon is the actual icon displayed inside the button, which is commonly used to represent a collapsible menu or sidebar. Then let's import our icon. This icon button should not have a curly braces and it should be from MUI material icon button, and also import menu icon. We will also be shifting e-commerce to right on opening sidebar. Let's add style for it. In case of admin route, we can shift by 10px. So let's include the transition. And the user nav field will only be visible if no admin route. Since we have logout in sidebar, include this condition up to logout. Now back in our app.jsx, we will protect our public routes, which is the home route. For this, inside our containers, inside the home layout folder, let's create a file homerouteguard.jsx. This function acts as a protective wrapper for any route or page we want to restrict from admin users. Let's fetch each authenticated and user role from auth context. Inside the use effect, We can check if the user is logged in and their role is admin. It immediately redirects them to the admin dashboard. The replace true option ensures the redirect replaces the current history entry, so the user can't go back to the restricted page. If the user is an authenticated admin, nothing is rendered since they are being redirected anyway. For normal users, the wrapped style components are rendered as user. Now we can wrap this home with home route guard. For admin routes, the route is set to match any path that starts with /admin. This means all admin related pages will fall under this route. When a user navigates to any /admin route, the admin sidebar component is rendered. It receives sidebar open and sets sidebar open as props, which control whether the sidebar is visible or hidden. The sidebar acts as a layout wrapper for all admin pages, providing navigation and a consistent admin UI. Now inside the admin sidebar, we can include this admin dashboard route. Now this will only be /dashboard. Now if we proceed to our project, you can see we have the sidebar with all these sections. We can also expand our users and product section. If we close this, you can see we are not being able to see the hamburger menu, but we are able to click on it. I guess we have done some error while import. Let's proceed to our navbaar.jsx. The import of menu icon is incorrect here. It should be icons material instead of just material. It's fixed now, you can see it's visible. If I try to go home page, then you can see our guard is working well as we are redirected back to admin dashboard page. If I log in as user Sarah, you can see there no any sidebar icon. So we have our sidebar only for admin authentication. We should also restrict admin from cart and purchases page. For that, we can wrap this cart page with home route guard. And also for purchase product. Now it's restricted for both page. We will now proceed on listing users part, and also in index.css, add overflow y to auto and height of 100%. This prevents double scroll bars. Inside the admin controller, let's create user.js file. This function will fetch all users from the database. Let me first import user schema. This part only returns the username, email, and role fields for each user. Finally, we can respond with a JSON array of users. Complete the catch block also. Then create delete user part also. It simply deletes a user from the database based on the user ID provided in the route parameter. Finally, let's create for editing user part also. We can simply update the specified user's username and email based on the data sent in the request body. Then respond with the updated user as JSON. Let's export this. So now we can include it in admin routes. Also include the delete and edit user route. Now let's proceed on the client side. Inside the admin, let's create user folder. Then inside this we can create user list.jsx. This will be our user list function. Then let's again create state for user, loading and error. Inside the use effect, let's create fetch user functionality. We can call the created backend API for all users. The route will be /admin/users. Pass the response data in set users. Let's complete the catch block also. In case of loading, return a material UI circular progress spinner. In case of error, display a user-friendly error message. Proceed on the return part. Background will be the same as of our dashboard. Let's add some other styles for it. The title can be all users. Now we are going to use the paper component and apply some custom styles using the SX prop to control its appearance and layout. Inside the paper, we wrap our table with a box that has overflow X auto to ensure horizontal scrolling on small screens, making the table responsive. Each table cell is given a specific width for better alignment and readability across devices. And we use ellipsis styling for email and role columns to handle long text gracefully. The actions column contains icons button for viewing, editing, and deleting users. Within the table body, we first check if there are any users to display. If the users array is empty and not loading, we show a single row with the message no users found. Otherwise, we map over the users array and render a table row for each user. Each row displays the user's username, email, and role, applying responsive widths and text overflow handling to keep the layout clean. In the Actions column, we provide 3 icon buttons, one for viewing user details, one for editing the user, and one for deleting the user. For the view action, include the Open View dialog function in the onClick handler. Create the state for view user. Now let's create this dialog component. Here we will take a user object as an argument, the user we want to view. Then let's update the state view user with the selected user's data. For edit, the color would be secondary, and this would be our open edit dialog. Then create the state for edit form. Initially, the username and email will be empty. Inside the open edit dialog, let's first set the state variable edit user to the selected user object. Then let's initialize the form fields with the current username and email of the selected user. And for delete, the color would be error. Let's pass the user ID to handle delete. Let's create handle delete functionality. This function first asks for confirmation. Then sends a delete request to the backend to remove the user. And finally updates the local user list by filtering out the deleted user. If the deletion fails, an error message is displayed to the user. Now let's proceed on edit user dialog. We use the dialog component which opens whenever edit user is set. That is when the admin clicks the edit button for a user. Here we are using two exclamation for edit user because this explicitly converts the value of edit user to a boolean true when a user object is present and false when it is null or undefined. This ensures the open prop of the dialog always receives a boolean value as required by the component, making the logic clear and preventing unexpected behavior. Let's create close edit dialog. For this we can set the edit user state back to null. Its title can be edit user. The dialog will contain a form with two fields, one for the username and one for the email, both pre-filled with the selected user's current information. In the onChange, we can provide handle edit form change. So let's create this. Here we will simply take the event from the input field as an argument, then extract the name and value from the event target. We can then update the edit form state by copying the previous form values and replacing the changed field with the new value. Now this should be dialog for email. Now in cancel button, we will call close edit dialog, which closes the dialog without saving any changes. Then for the save button, we can add handle edit save functionality on click. So let's proceed on creating it. This function will be responsible for saving the changes made to a user's information in the edit dialog. Let's first check if there is a user currently being edited. If not, it exists only. Now this will be our put request. Let's call our update endpoint. On a successful response, we will update the local user state. This part maps to a previous user list, and if a user's ID matches the edited user, it replaces that user with the updated data from the server. This ensures the UI immediately reflects the changes. After updating, let's call close edit dialog to close the edit dialog. In case of error, let's provide alert of an error message. Now we will have final user dialog, which is the view. The dialog component opens whenever view user is set. For on close, let's create close view dialog to pass state view user to null. Its title can be user details. Inside the dialog content, we check that view user is not null before displaying its properties. Then let's fetch our username, email and ID. Additional fields like role are displayed if they exist in the user object. Finally, we will provide close button that calls close view dialog to close the dialog. Now let's include this function in our app.jsx. Now this should be inside our admin route with path users. If we proceed on our project, now you can see the users displayed with their details and role. And if we click on this view icon, we can also see the user details. And you can see we can also update the data of the user. And finally, we can also delete the user. So that's all for user listing. Now we can proceed on create user part. Inside the user folder, we can create file usercreate.jsx. For create user, we can reuse the sign up process that we have created in our auth controller. Inside this auth controller, we can see the create user part. So this was basically the sign up process. We will be reusing this, and we can remove the token part while in sign up, since it requires only if we want the user to be automatically logged in immediately after registering. But for our system, we don't need this since we already have this in login part. So let's include this in our admin route. We had included this in our auth route, but we are also including in admin route since it will follow the admin role check middleware in this part. This would be our post request for sign up. Now in this create user file, this would be our create user function. Then create the state for create user form. We can provide fields of username, email, password, confirm password, and role. Similarly, also create state for loading, error, and success message. Let's create handle create user submit function, which handles the submission of a user creation. First, we will reset any previous error or success message to provide a clean state for the new submission. Then let's perform some client-side validation. Let's check that username, email, and password are not empty. If any are missing, it sets an error message and stops the submission. Ensure password and confirm password match. We can now check the password length and finally the basic email validation. Then include loading to true. Then construct a new user payload object with the form data. We will now send a post request to the backend /signup endpoint to create the user. Let's import our toast related configuration. Then on success, display our toast notification. We can also then reset the form fields to their initial empty state. Complete the catch block part also. In the return part, include the toast container. Let's again use box typography like of other page component. The title for it can be create new user. Let's also provide some style for paper component. We can handle on submit here. Let's call our handle create user submit function. Also include the style for error and success message. Now in the text field, we will be including our form fields. For this username, it would be create user form.username. Let's create handle create user form change function. Let's receive the event from the input or select field. Then extract the name and value from the event target. Then update the create user form state by copying the previous form values and updating the field that changed. This keeps the form state in sync with the user's input. Finally, clear the error and success message. Similarly, this would be for email. Then also include for the password. This would be confirm password. Finally, we have the role. For user roles, we include an optional select drop-down wrapped in a form control, allowing the admin to choose between user and admin roles. At the bottom, the submit button is styled for prominence. And displays a loading spinner when the form is being submitted. And inside this text field for disabled value, it should contain 2 exclamation for success message. We had only given one, so correct for other field also. And the API endpoint from admin would be admin/signup. So let's correct this also. I mistakenly used the normal signup route. As we know, /admin also includes the role check and middleware part. Now in our app.jsx, let's use the user create page inside the admin route path. If we proceed on our page and in our create user, you can see we have the form for creating user. We can try this by creating new user for user Jack. First, let's check whether all validation is working or not. So we have the password validation and comparison with confirm password also. And you can see we have the success for user creation. And if we go on users list also, we can see we have the new user. We can also check by logging with the user Jack. So you can see we have the users portal for this user. And we can also add product to cart. Then let's also check for email already existing case. So now if I create for user Jack, you can see it's showing blank. We got some issue. In our backend, we have returned our error in the object format. But in the front end, we are trying to render this error object directly as a string. Since React can't render an object as plain text, this causes the page to go blank. To fix this, we should update our error handling in the front end to check if the error is an object and display its message properly instead of rendering the object itself. Now if we try to create with the same email again, we have email already exist message. So that's all for creating user part. Now let's proceed on creating products part. Let's create folder product inside the admin and then create product list.jsx. And for the products list, we already have written all products functionality. So in our admin route, we can just call this. Inside the admin controller, let's create product.js. We are gonna implement create, edit and delete functionality. Let's import our product schema. This is our create product function. Extract the product fields from the request body. We can then perform validation check for title, price and category. Check for positive price also. Then save the product. Now complete the catch block too. So let's proceed to edit product function. Product.findById and update helps to find the product by its ID and update it with the new values. Finally, send the updated product as a JSON. For delete function, let's use findById and delete method. Let's export this and include in our admin routes also. So I will provide route path for all this product functionality. Let's proceed to our product list.jsx. Then create state for product, loading and error. Inside the use effect, let's create fetch products functionality. We can call the created backend API for all products. The route will be /admin/API/products. Pass the response data in set products. Let's complete the catch block also. In case of loading, return a material UI circular progress spinner. Proceed on the return part. Background will be the same as our dashboard. Let's add some other styles for it. The title can be products. Then check for error also. Now we are going to use the paper component and apply some custom styles using the SX prop to control its appearance and layout. Then this would be table part. So initially the table cell will contain our product heading of image, title, price and actions. The action columns contains icon pattern for viewing, editing and deleting products. Within the table body, we first check if there are any products to display. If the products array is empty, we show a single row with the message "No products found." Otherwise, we map over the product array and render a table row for each product. For image, we can use auth from Materials UI. Then proceed on product title and price. In the actions column, we provide three icon buttons. One for viewing product details, one for editing the product, and one for deleting the product. Now let's create this dialog component. Create the state for view product. Here we will take a product object as an argument, the product we want to view. Then let's update the state view product with the selected products data. Include the open view dialog function in the onClick handler. Then create the state for edit form. Initially this product field will be empty. And this would be our open edit dialog. Inside the open edit dialog, let's first set the state variable edit product to the selected product object. Then let's initialize the form fields with the current product field of the selected product. For edit, the color would be secondary. And for delete, the color would be error. Let's pass the product ID to handle delete. Let's create handle delete functionality. This function first asks for confirmation, then sends a delete request to the backend to remove the product. And previously we had included /API/products in fetch products. This should actually be /admin/products. Then we need to pass with credentials also. Now this should be in handle delete also. And finally updates the local product list by filtering out the deleted product. If the deletion fails, an error message is displayed. Now we will proceed on view product dialog. The dialog component opens whenever view product is set. For onClose, let's create close view dialog to pass state view product to null. Its title can be product details. Inside the dialog content, we check that view product is not null before displaying its properties. Then let's fetch our product image. Similarly, fetch remaining field also. This would be of price. We can also display the category, description and rating. We will provide close button that calls close view dialog to close the dialog. Let's proceed on edit product dialog. We use the dialog component which opens whenever edit product is set. That is when the admin clicks the edit button. Its title can be edit product. In the on change, we can provide handle edit form change. Let's create this. We will simply take the event from the input field as an argument, then extract the name and value from the event target. We can then update the edit form state by copying the previous form values and replacing the changed field with the new value. Now in cancel button, we will call close edit dialog, which closes the dialog without saving any changes. This would be our price. Similarly complete for the remaining product field also. Now in cancel button, we will call close edit dialog, which closes the dialog without saving any changes. Then for the save button, we can add handle edit save functionality on click. So let's proceed on creating it. This function will be responsible for saving the changes made to a product's information in the edit dialog. Let's first check if there is a product currently being edited. If not, it exits early. Now this will be our put request. Let's call our update endpoint. On a successful response, we will update the local product state. This part maps to the previous product list. And if a product's ID matches with the edited product, it replaces that product with the updated data from the server. This ensures the UI immediately reflects the changes. After updating, let's call close edit dialog to close the edit dialog. Now in our app.jsx, let's use the product list page inside the admin route path. Then proceed on our project. Now you can see the products displayed with their image title and price. And if we click on this view icon, we can also see the additional details including the category, description and rating. And you can see we can also update the data of product. We got a 403 issue. So let's go to our product list. So yeah, in the put request we have the issue. Actually we have to shift this edit form above the with credential. Now you can see we are able to update the data. Let's fix the issue for delete request also. You can see in the console we have response not defined message. I guess it's backend issue. So in our admin controller inside the product, we can see in the delete function we missed to pass request and response. So now it should fix. And finally we can also delete the product. So that's all for the product listing. Now we can proceed on add product part. Inside the product folder, we can create file add product.jsx. This would be our add product function. Then create the state for product form. We can provide fields of title, price, description, category, image. Similarly, also create state for loading error and success message. Let's create handle submit function, which handles the submission of a product creation form. First, we will reset any previous error or success message to provide a clean state for the new submission. Then let's perform some client-side validation. Let's check that price and category are not empty. If any are missing, it sets an error message and stops the submission. Then include loading to true. Then construct a new user payload object with the form data. We will now send a post request to the backend endpoint to create the product. Here you can see we forgot to give products on route here. Just add path products here. Then it would be /admin/products. Let's import our toast related configuration. Then on success display a toast notification. We can also then reset the form field to their initial empty state. Complete the catch block part also. In the return part, include the toast container also. Let's again use box typography like of other page. The title for it can be add new product. Let's also provide some style for paper component. We can handle on some bit here. Let's call our handle some bit function. Also include the style for error and success message. Now in the text field, we will be including our form fields. For title, it would be form.title. On the onChange part, let's create handle change function. Let's receive the event from the input or select field. Then extract the name and values from the event target. Then update the form state by copying the previous form values and updating the field that changed. This keeps the form state in sync with the user's input. Finally, clear the error and success message. Similarly, this would be for price. Then also include for the remaining field. This would be our category. For the category, we will be using menu item for displaying existing options. Then include the image. Finally, this would be our submit button. Then we can perform the loading check. Now in our app.jsx, let's use the product create page inside the admin route path. If we proceed on our page and in our add product, you can see we have the form for creating the product. For now, I have set the image URL since we had used fake API product. You can also change this to file based system. So I can create the deleted t-shirt. I will provide custom description. For the image URL, I will use fake API image URL for t-shirt. So you can see our product is created. And in the product list, you can see we have our created men's t-shirt with our information. Now we can proceed on our final section, which is the orders. So this will basically contain our orders list made by the user. So inside the admin controller, let's create order.js, import user schema, let's fetch all users from the database, but only retrieve their username, email and purchases fields. For each user, we can iterate over their purchase array. For each purchase, it creates a new order object containing the user's username and email. The purchase's title, price, quantity, the total amount for that purchase, purchased at. All these order objects are pushed into a single all orders array. The combined all orders array is sorted by purchased at in descending order. That is the most recent first. Then send back sorted orders as a JSON array. Include this in admin route. This would be our GET request for path / orders. In our frontend, let's create order.jsx. Then create state for orders loading and error. Inside the use effect, let's create fetch order functionality. We can call the created backend API for orders. The route will be /admin/orders. Pass the response data in set orders. Let's complete the catch block also. In case of loading, return a material UI circular progress spinner. Proceed on the return part. Let's add styles for it. The title can be orders. Then check for error also. Now we are going to use the paper component and apply some custom styles using the SX prop to control its appearance and layout. Then this should be table part. So let's complete the styling part for the table. Here TH and TD target all table header and body cells inside the table, allowing us to style them directly from the component's SX prop. We will then include the table head and wrap table row inside it. So initially the table cell will contain our product heading of user, email, product, price, quantity, total, and date. Within the table body, we first check if there are any orders to display. If the orders array is empty, we show a single row with the message "No orders found." Otherwise, we map over the orders array and render a table row for each product. Let's include the required field value. For pricing, I will add color style also. For purchased at, we can include day.js. Actually, this should be small bracket instead of curly braces. Now import Axios and day.js. We also need to npm install day.js in client part. Now in our app.jsx, let's use this orders page inside the admin route path. In our project, now you can see the orders displayed with their fields. We can also see the users purchasing this order with the purchase date. So we have come to end of the admin. Now we need to make a slight changes to make this project even more perfect. You can see if we are not authenticated also, we are able to go to cart and purchase page. So for that, in our home route guard, in the else if block, we can check for not authenticated, and inside this we can navigate to home page. So now if we try to access cart and purchase page directly, you can see we are redirected back to home page. And as we know, If our token for the session is expired, we are just showing normal error message. So in dashboard, I will handle the error for status 401. In such case, we can give session expired, please log in again message. Similarly, include this in user list page also. For this, it should be error. Then I will simply paste in our product list page also. And finally in our orders. So for now, I will set the token expiry to 10 seconds. Let me log in again. So now if I go in others page, we can see we are getting clear relogin message. So we will also include for the purchase page and in the cart context. We can provide alert for fetching cart and for add and delete cart. So I'll show you by logging as user. Now I guess 10 seconds is over, and if I go to purchase page, you can see we have the message. And if I try to add any product, the alert is shown. Then let's log in for other user that has cart. So here after 10 seconds, you can see on delete also, we are able to get the login message. So this helps to give a clear UI if the session is expired. And I can include the expiry time to 15 days. So that's all for our admin panel. In this video, we successfully implemented admin panel for our MERN e-commerce project. Thank you guys for watching this video.